My friend, life will always test you. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will push you to the edge. But here's the truth. Strength is not measured by what you lift on the outside. It is measured by what you carry on the inside. Every person listening to me right now has two choices: be controlled by fear, pressure, and problems, or rise with a strength that cannot be shaken, a strength that is invisible yet unstoppable. Today, I want to reveal to you the secret to unstoppable inner strength. Because if you lose your inner strength, you lose everything. But if you protect it, nothing in this world can stop you. Weakness always begins at the point where identity is missing. When you do not know who you are, the world will gladly hand you a label. People will call you what fits their expectation, not your destiny. Society will tell you that you are limited because of your background, your accent, your color, your failures. And if you are not careful, you will begin to live out of the opinions of others instead of the truth of your design. Think about it. How many people spend their whole lives trying to impress those who don't even care about them? How many chase after approval, forgetting that their worth was never meant to be borrowed from someone else's mouth? When you don't know who you are, rejection crushes you. A no from a boss makes you feel like you are nothing. A broken relationship makes you question your value. A failure makes you believe you are a failure. But when you know who you are, rejection becomes redirection. Failure becomes feedback. And betrayal becomes a classroom. Because you are not defined by what happens to you. You are defined by what was planted in you. Look at daily life. A diamond doesn't stop being a diamond just because someone drops it in the mud. A lion doesn't stop being a lion just because it's trapped in a cage. And you don't stop being powerful just because life tries to bury you under pressure. The problem is not what life does to you. The problem is when you forget what you carry inside you. Think of a young person growing up in a tough neighborhood. Maybe their family says, "You'll never amount to anything." Maybe teachers underestimate them. Friends laugh at their dreams. If that young person does not know who they are, they will shrink to fit those words. But if they discover their true identity, they will rise above every limitation, because inner strength is not built on applause, it is built on awareness. Let me tell you something, if you tie your identity to money, you'll collapse when you lose it. If you tie your identity to titles, you'll crumble when you're no longer in position. If you tie your identity to relationships, you'll break when people walk away. But if you tie your identity to purpose, nothing can shake you. You can lose the job and still stand tall. You can lose the friends and still keep your dignity. You can lose the applause and still hold your head high, because your value never came from them in the first place. That's why people with strong inner strength walk into rooms differently. They don't need to prove themselves. They don't need to compete for validation. They simply exist with quiet confidence, because they are not trying to be liked. They are simply living out who they already are. That is why storms don't weaken them. Storms reveal them. Life will always test your identity. The moment you say you are strong, something will come to test that strength. The moment you say you are focused, distractions will come. The moment you say you are confident, people will challenge your worth. But that's the beauty of knowing who you are. When the test comes, you don't lose yourself, you prove yourself. You have to reach a point where you say, "I know who I am, and no disappointment can make me forget it. I know who I am, and no rejection can erase it. I know who I am, and no betrayal can break it." That's not arrogance, that's clarity. The strongest person is not the one who shouts the loudest, but the one who can stand in silence unshaken. because they know their foundation. Every single day you wake up, you are going to face a world that wants to mold you, shake you, and define you. Social media wants to tell you that you are not enough unless you look a certain way. Your workplace may want to tell you that your worth is tied to performance. People may try to tell you that you are limited by your past. But the greatest battle you will ever fight is the one to protect your identity. And here's what makes it powerful. When you know who you are, you stop begging for permission to exist. You stop waiting for someone to clap before you act. You stop needing constant approval just to keep moving. You become unstoppable, not because life is easy, but because you have an anchor that no storm can move. Think about it. Trees with shallow roots fall when the storm comes, but trees with deep roots bend and then rise again. That's what identity does. It roots you so deeply in who you are that no matter what happens around you, you cannot be uprooted. You may bend, you may cry, you may feel pain, but you rise again because you never lost yourself in the chaos. This is why the people who change the world are not necessarily the strongest on the outside, but they are unshakable on the inside. They don't quit when doors close. They don't surrender when critics rise. They don't abandon their dreams just because others can't see them. Why? Because they are not living out of opinions. They are living out of identity. And the truth is, until you know who you are, you will always be at the mercy of what happens to you. But the moment you know your identity, you become free from the chains of approval, free from the fear of failure, and free from the prison of people's opinions. That is where unstoppable inner strength begins. Most people lose battles they were destined to win, not because they lacked opportunity, not because they lacked resources, but because they lacked control over their emotions. Think about it. How many times have we seen someone with great potential destroy their future in a single moment of anger? How many have lost friendships, marriages, or careers because they reacted instead of responding? The truth is, emotions are powerful servants, but dangerous masters. If you allow them to sit in the driver's seat of your life, they will always take you to a place you never intended to go. You cannot build inner strength if your emotions rule you. Anger makes you weak because it clouds your judgment. Fear makes you weak because it paralyzes your progress. Jealousy makes you weak because it drains your focus and steals your joy. Worry makes you weak because it blinds you from opportunity and locks you in cycles of doubt. And here is the trap. Emotions feel real, they feel urgent, but they are not always right. Just because you feel something does not mean it defines reality. Picture this. You're driving a car on a busy road, and suddenly someone cuts you off. Instantly, you feel anger boiling inside. Your first instinct is to yell, maybe to chase the car, maybe to act reckless. But if you do that, one moment of anger could cause an accident, could destroy your peace, could even cost your life. The emotion was real. But if you had followed it, the consequences would have been irreversible. That is what life is like. Moments will always present themselves to test your control, but strength comes from mastering your response, not from following your impulse. Consider daily life. Someone talks down to you at work. If you respond in anger, you may lose the job. Someone spreads lies about you. If you respond with bitterness, you waste your energy defending yourself instead of advancing your life. A friend betrays you. If you let the hurt turn into hatred, you poison your own heart more than theirs. But if you learn to pause, to breathe, to measure your words before you release them, you gain a strength that cannot be broken. That pause is not weakness. It is power under control. You see, animals live by instinct, but human beings were designed to live by principle. Inner strength means choosing principle over feeling. It means doing what is right even when it doesn't feel good. You may feel like giving up, but the principle says keep going. You may feel like retaliating, but the principle says forgive. You may feel like hiding in fear, but the principle says step forward in courage. This is where discipline comes in. Discipline is not denying your emotions. Discipline is training your emotions to serve your destiny instead of sabotaging it. Think about athletes. A runner may feel tired halfway through the race, but discipline keeps their feet moving when their emotions scream, stop. A boxer may feel fear when facing an opponent, but discipline keeps their hands steady and their focus sharp. A student may feel like procrastinating, but discipline makes them study while their emotions crave distraction. In the same way, inner strength is built when you refuse to let how you feel dictate what you do. The most powerful people are not those who control others, but those who control themselves. It's easy to shout back when insulted. It takes strength to remain calm. It's easy to quit when it gets tough. It takes strength to keep pushing. It's easy to let fear shrink your dreams. It takes strength to act despite the fear. Inner strength is not about removing emotions. It's about rising above them. Let me give you another picture. Imagine a thermostat and a thermometer. A thermometer simply reflects the temperature of the room. It reacts. If the room is hot, it goes up. If the room is cold, it goes down. That's how people ruled by emotions live. They simply mirror whatever happens around them. But a thermostat sets the temperature. It decides the atmosphere. That is inner strength. You don't just react to the environment. You set the tone of your life. You don't let situations dictate your mood. You let your discipline create stability even in chaos. How many marriages could have been saved if one person chose to control their tongue instead of lashing out in anger? How many dreams could have been achieved if fear had not been given permission to dominate? How many opportunities could have been embraced if worry had not built a prison in the mind? Every time you allow emotion to lead, you surrender power. Every time you let discipline lead, you gain strength. There's a daily battle going on inside each of us. You feel disappointment knocking at your door. Will you give it permission to sit inside your soul? Or will you rise with discipline and say, not today? You feel fear whispering that you are not enough. Will you shrink back, or will you move forward anyway? You feel anger burning when someone wrongs you. Will you explode, or will you breathe and respond with wisdom? The choices you make in those small moments are what separate the fragile from the unshakable. Life is not kind to those who live by impulse. The world is full of people who had talent, but lost everything because they could not master their temper. It is full of people with big dreams who never stepped out because they let fear hold them back. It is full of people with vision, but no progress because they let emotions become the dictator of their destiny. But when you learn to take authority over your emotions, you walk differently. You stop being reactive and you start being proactive. You stop being a victim of moods and you start being a master of moments. This is what unstoppable inner strength looks like. Not the absence of feeling, but the discipline to rise above it. When you can remain steady in chaos, when you can stay calm in conflict, when you can keep walking when everything inside you wants to quit, that is when you discover a power greater than circumstances, greater than fear, greater than anger. That is when you become unshakable. Your focus is the fuel of your inner strength. Whatever you give attention to becomes the energy that shapes your thoughts, your emotions, and eventually your actions. If you focus on your pain will grow larger than life. If you focus on your obstacles will look like mountains you can never climb. But if you focus on possibility, on purpose, on vision, you begin to feel a strength rising within you that cannot be shaken. The greatest battles are not fought outside, but inside the mind. And the mind is always fed by focus. Every day you are feeding something. The question is, what are you feeding? Some people wake up in the morning and feed on fear by scrolling through negativity. They feed on gossip, on doubt, on comparison, and then wonder why they feel drained before the day even begins. Others wake up and feed their minds with hope, with vision, with gratitude, and with a sense of purpose. The difference between weakness and strength is often nothing more than the diet of your focus. Look at it this way: your mind is like a garden. If you focus on weeds, your past mistakes, your insecurities, your failures, those weeds grow tall and choke the beauty out of your life. But if you focus on planting seeds of growth, on watering your dreams, on pulling out the lies that tell you that you are not enough, you will see your garden flourish. The soil doesn't choose what grows, you do through focus. Think about daily life. Imagine a student preparing for an exam. If they spend more time focusing on how difficult the subject is, or how many people failed before them, they will feel defeated before they even open the book. But if they shift focus to learning, to discipline, to progress one page at a time, suddenly the impossible becomes achievable. Or imagine someone who lost their job. If their focus stays on rejection, on shame, on fear of the future, they will drown in despair. But if they choose to focus on growth, on opportunity, on reinvention, that focus fuels the strength to rise again. You cannot stop negative thoughts from knocking at the door of your mind, but you can control which ones you invite in to stay. Focus is the gatekeeper. If you focus on problems, you empower them. If you focus on solutions, you empower yourself. The strongest people are not those who never face challenges. They are the ones who master where they place their focus when challenges come. Life will always give you reasons to focus on the wrong thing. You will hear criticism from people who don't even know your struggle. You will see obstacles that seem too high to overcome. You will feel fear whispering in your ear every time you step into new territory. But focus is a choice. You cannot control the voices around you, but you can control the volume you give them inside your head. And the one you choose to focus on will decide your strength. A story is told about two wolves that live inside every person. One wolf is full of fear, anger, jealousy, doubt, and weakness. The other wolf is full of courage, hope, love, strength, and faith. Every day, these two wolves fight inside you. Which one wins? The one you feed. And how do you feed it? With focus. If you constantly think about what's wrong, you feed the wrong wolf. If you choose to meditate on what is right, what is possible, what is pure, what is hopeful, you feed the right wolf. And that wolf grows stronger until it overpowers the other. Think of an athlete training for the Olympics. Their body feels pain, their mind feels tired, their schedule is full of pressure, but their focus is not on the pain. It is on the prize. That focus fuels strength to wake up before sunrise, to run when their legs want to give out, to practice when others are sleeping. What you magnify becomes your reality. The more they magnify the vision of winning, the less power the pain has over them. That is how focus works. The problem is not always that you don't have strength. The problem is often that you are wasting it on the wrong focus. How many people lose their energy by focusing on people who don't like them? How many spend hours focusing on what they lost instead of what they can build? How many waste their days focusing on things they cannot control instead of the things they can change? Weakness is often misplaced strength, strength that has been drained by focusing on what doesn't deserve it. You have to learn to protect your focus like you protect your most valuable treasure. If someone constantly brings negativity, shift your focus away from their voice. If a memory keeps replaying to remind you of your failures, shift your focus to the lessons you learned. If fear keeps telling you that you are not enough, shift your focus to the victories you have already won, no matter how small. Every shift of focus is a shift of strength. Even in the darkest moments, focus can save you. Someone lying in a hospital bed may focus on pain and despair, and their spirit will grow weaker. But if they choose to focus on life, on family, on healing, something inside begins to fight harder. A person going through heartbreak may focus on the betrayal and sink into bitterness, or they can focus on the opportunity to grow stronger, to love themselves deeper, to rebuild with wisdom. The pain doesn't disappear, but focus changes the way you carry it. Your eyes were never meant to stare at the past forever. Your mind was never meant to replay failure endlessly. Your heart was never meant to be a prison for regret. The power of focus is that it turns your eyes forward, it turns your mind upward, it turns your heart toward what strengthens you instead of what breaks you. And every time you shift your focus from fear to faith, from problem to possibility, from weakness to vision, you add another brick to the unshakable fortress of your inner strength. Pressure is not your enemy, pressure is your teacher. Many people spend their whole lives running away from pressure, trying to avoid hard times, trying to escape the weight of responsibility. But the truth is this: pressure is the very place where your inner strength is born. Just like muscles never grow without resistance, your spirit never develops without challenge. The weights in the gym are heavy on purpose. They are designed to tear the muscle so it can rebuild stronger. In the same way, life's pressure is heavy on purpose. It is designed to stretch you, to break old limits, and to reveal the strength that was always hidden inside you. Think about it. Diamonds are formed in the dark, deep under the earth, under intense heat and unimaginable pressure. Without pressure, they would remain ordinary pieces of carbon. But because of pressure, they become the hardest and most valuable stones on earth. Could it be that the pressure you are facing right now is not destroying you, but shaping you into something unbreakable? Could it be that the very thing you hate is the tool life is using to turn you into a diamond? Look at the daily grind. A student carrying the weight of exams feels overwhelmed, but that pressure teaches discipline, teaches focus, teaches resilience. An entrepreneur carrying the pressure of bills, risks, and failures feels like giving up, but that pressure sharpens creativity, develops endurance, and separates the pretenders from the real builders. A parent carrying the pressure of raising children, balancing work, and surviving storms may feel exhausted, but that pressure produces patience, wisdom, and unconditional love that nothing else can teach. Pressure is not a punishment, it is preparation. Here is the danger. When you see pressure as an enemy, you run. When you see pressure as a teacher, you grow. Many people pray for strength, but avoid the very challenges that build strength. They want courage without fear, wisdom without mistakes, maturity without trials. But strength is never given in comfort. Strength is born in fire. You don't discover how much weight you can carry when the load is light. You discover it when the load is heavy, and yet you refuse to collapse. Think about a seed planted in the soil. Before it becomes a tree, it must push through the dirt, through the darkness, through resistance. The pressure of the soil is what forces it to grow upward. Without that pressure, the seed would rot and die. The same is true for you. Without the pressure you face, you would stay small, hidden, undeveloped. Pressure is the environment that forces your hidden greatness to rise. Daily life will always present pressure. You are pressured by deadlines, pressured by expectations, pressured by circumstances beyond your control. And every time you feel like the weight is too much, remember that growth has always been a heavy process. You don't grow when it's easy. You grow when it's hard. You don't become strong when life hands you comfort. You become strong when life hands you chaos, and you still keep moving. Think of a young athlete training before the world ever sees their performance. They push their body to the breaking point. Their muscles ache, their lungs burn, their sweat pours like rain. But when they step into the arena, all that private pressure reveals its reward. They perform with excellence. They endure longer. They stand taller. The world sees the glory, but they never saw the pressure that produced it. Your private pressure is creating a strength the world has not yet witnessed. Sometimes pressure comes disguised as problems. You lose a job and feel the weight of bills piling up. But that pressure pushes you to discover creativity, to try something new, to start a business, to sharpen skills you ignored before. Sometimes pressure comes disguised as betrayal. Someone you trusted walks away. But that pressure pushes you to grow in independence, to value yourself more, to realize that your worth was never in people's approval. Sometimes pressure comes disguised as failure. You give your all and still fall short. But that pressure forces you to learn, to adapt, to come back stronger than before. Do not despise the seasons of pressure, because they are the training ground for your destiny. A soldier is not prepared for battle by resting in comfort. They are trained by carrying heavy gear, by running with weight, by enduring tough drills. When the war comes, they are ready because they have lived under pressure. Life works the same way. Every difficulty, every storm, every weight is training you for something greater than you realize. Remember this: gold is purified by fire, steel is forged by heat, and leaders are shaped by pressure. The people you admire did not become who they are by avoiding challenges. They became great because they allowed pressure to stretch them, to refine them, to unlock dimensions of strength they never knew existed. The storm that feels like it's against you is often the storm that is working for you. Pressure is not there to destroy you. It is there to develop you. The difference between those who rise and those who break is not the absence of pressure, but the response to pressure. Some crumble under the weight, others use the weight as fuel. Some complain that life is unfair, others say, "Try me, I was built for this." Pressure is the same for everyone, but strength is revealed in how you handle it. When you shift your perspective, when you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" the very thing that once crushed you will become the reason you rise. Every journey in life eventually comes to a moment where you must decide whether you will be broken by what you have faced or built by it. Life does not ask your permission before it hands you disappointment, before it delivers rejection, before it puts you under pressure. But hear me clearly. Life cannot determine your strength, only you can. You hold the pen that writes your response. You hold the power that decides whether the storm will sink you or strengthen you. You see, greatness is never born in comfort zones. The people who changed history, the ones we quote, the ones we admire, did not rise from beds of ease. They rose from the battlefield of struggle. They discovered a secret. Inner strength is not about avoiding the storm. It is about standing taller because of the storm. That's why we admire them, not because life was gentle to them, but because life was hard, and they became harder still. Let me remind you, you are stronger than you think. You have survived days you thought would kill you. You have overcome obstacles that looked impossible. You have endured pain that would have crushed others, and yet you are still here, still breathing, still standing, still fighting. That is not weakness. That is proof of a power inside you that no outside force could defeat. Don't you ever forget that. The voices of doubt will always come. They will whisper, "You can't do it. You're not enough. You don't have what it takes." But inner strength answers back, "Watch me." Fear will rise like a shadow trying to block your vision. But courage steps forward and says, "I refuse to bow." Pressure will try to bury you. But remember, pressure doesn't bury diamonds, it creates them. The weight you feel today is the very thing sculpting the champion in you. And when your emotions scream at you to give up, when anger wants to make you lash out, when fear wants to paralyze you, remember this truth: your emotions do not define you. Your decisions do. You may feel weak, but you can choose strength. You may feel afraid, but you can choose courage. You may feel like quitting, but you can choose persistence. That choice over and over again is how ordinary people become unstoppable. You must look in the mirror and remind yourself daily, I am not defined by my failures. I am not defined by people's opinions. I am not defined by yesterday's pain. I am defined by my purpose, my vision, and my destiny. Speak it until your heart believes it. Speak it until your mind aligns with it. Speak it until the atmosphere around you bows to it. Because words are seeds. And when you declare strength, strength begins to rise. Remember the words of champions: fall 7 times, stand up 8. Remember that courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting in spite of fear. Remember that pressure is not your enemy. It is your trainer. Remember that storms don't last forever, but the strength you gain from them will. Life will try to silence you with hardship, but rise anyway. Life will try to break you with disappointment, but stand anyway. Life will try to bury you with failure, but grow anyway. Because the greatest victory is not what happens around you, it is what happens inside you. So carry yourself with unshakable dignity. Walk into every room knowing that you belong there. Face every challenge as if it was designed to reveal your greatness. And never forget, the power that will carry you to your destiny is not outside of you. It is within you. You are stronger than the storm. You are greater than the pressure. You are unshakable, unstoppable, undeniable. And the world has not yet seen the fullness of the strength that you carry.